Okay, so uh, Little White Mouse has left the CC community. She made a post announcing that earlier today, and it took the world by storm. If you don't know, Little White Mouse is somebody that has been in the CC community for as long as there has been a CC community. She does ship reviews and gives honest, basically very balanced, very instructional feedback on ships that are coming out or things that happen in the game, mechanics that happen in the game. Me personally, I learned a lot about the AA systems from work that she, and I believe it was Lert, L-E-R-T, performed, testing AA mechanics in training rooms and stuff like that, kicking it out back when stuff was extremely volatile back in patch 8.3, 4, 5, 6, 7, etc. Eventually they swore off testing the AA stuff because it kept getting altered, and they just like, F this, we'll do it when it's done. Anyway, so this video is going to be in two parts. The first part is going to talk about what the hell is the CC program, because it just genuinely feels like a lot of people don't know. So I'm going to talk about it. What is it? What are the perks to it? What's the design of it? You know, what's the concept, the implementation, I guess. And then the second part is going to be going into kind of the current state of CC-ness, maybe, or something. Which we'll try to touch on the Little White Mouse stuff and just kind of a general what's going on. Because right now, people are not having any information on this, which just leads a whole bunch of people to freak out. So my whole kind of gimmick is I teach stuff that people don't know, or I try to introduce information on topics that people don't know, be it CVs, or be it game mechanics, or be it game design concepts, or whatever. It's just kind of what I do. So, start at the start. We're going to talk about the CC program. What is it? So, Wargaming, or I guess I could say Lesta, but they were actually acquired by Wargaming, so it is all one big group. But the developers of World of Warships made a program where they directly interact with content creators. So if a content creator has a certain amount of viewers on Twitch, a certain amount of views on YouTube, a certain amount of followers on Facebook, a certain amount of whatever's on whatever social media thing or content or whatever you do, then you could qualify to be part of a community contributor program. I think there's a T in there, and I don't know what the T stands for, CCTP. But anyway, for those that get accepted, they are provided a small host of things, which I have kind of set up as a list. What is the CC program? A program that assists vetted content creators by the company that makes the game. What does vetted mean? Vetted doesn't mean that you check all the boxes and you say all the right things. Actually, that's quite not what it means. And anybody that kind of pays attention to CCs will know that CCs, many of them, actively will rip Wargaming to shreds over and over and over and over and over again. So this is not about finding somebody that's going to tell you the stuff you want to hear or tell you the stuff they want you to hear. This is about finding content creators where somebody in the program thinks, you know, this person stands out, this person covers an area, this person has a section of an audience that, you know, it would be good to, you know, help the outreach to this section of the audience. So the CC program, I guess, contacts them or, you know, says, hey, we'd like to have you a part of this. And then you say, yes, you do the thing, whatever. Congratulations. Boop, you did the thing. For me, I talk about CVs. That's probably my main gimmick. But I also give information, and I don't know, maybe that's something useful. So anyway, something that me and Little White Mouse have in common, although I think we are drastically different people. I think in general, everybody loves her, and I don't know how many people love me. Anyway, for the perks of the program, what do they give you? They give you access to test ships. Why? Because if you test the test ships, then you know what's coming out. You can make videos on them, and you can put out information to the people that are your community, that you bring content for, that you enable to stay engaged in WoWs. Press account, what's that for? So that you have access to all the ships in the game in case you need to make content to put out to your community, etc. 10,000 doubloons a month, which is probably the closest that comes to like a direct, hey, here's stuff kind of vibe. It's nice, it's appreciated. I think it comes out to like maybe $50 a month, but it's not in cash. You don't eat doubloons. So in terms of like a financial compensation, you're not laughing your ass to the bank because you're getting some doubloons every month in case you want to respec a commander or buy a camo. Some early information. What that means is sometimes there are announcements that are made to us where, hey, these ships are going to come out of NDA at this time, or this thing is happening. In general, I say some, and I even italicized it there, because there's not a lot. I don't know if it's because there are a lot of people that have been in the CC program over many years, and I think occasionally there might be leaks or something, so maybe they just keep it close to the vest in general. But it's not like CCs are kept abreast of game development. We're not told about shit that's happening 5 months down the line. We're usually let know about, hey, we're making a change, and it goes live in about 3 days. So sometimes a content creator might be able to make a video fast enough to be able to address that situation, or maybe it's treated more like a courtesy kind of thing, where they give you a heads up on what's going, so you could at least, I don't know, think about it before it happens. I don't know. Some ships, coal ships, I think, are given to CCs, as well as maybe topical ships. So, like, I think I have the ships from the Warhammer collaboration, the Ignis Purgatio and the other thing, Ragnarok or something. So there are some ships that are given access to. You also have access to them on the press account. So, I mean, there's that anyway. But that is part of the thing. I think that's mostly because if they give you the topical stuff, they give you the coal stuff, it's stuff that you can present to your community, it's content you can provide, which again is kind of the whole goal of the program, is just to give you the ability and means to show something to your audience that other people may not have the ability to do. If you have somebody that just decides, F it, I'm going to start streaming on Twitch, and they don't have all the coal to buy all the coal ships, they don't have all the stuff to get all the camos, whatever. Technically, it's a leg up in a competitive environment, I guess. For me, I'm more of an educational streamer, so I don't really know if I fall into that, but I mean, to people that would really compete on the core level of, you know, who's got the latest, the cutting edgest, the whateverest, theoretically that's helpful, so that is technically, it's a benefit to the CC program, other than the fact that you just have more stuff. And then this one is, I think, probably the biggest, at least it's the biggest to me. But this is probably the biggest one, is Discord. You have a direct communication to the developers. Maybe not all the developers. I don't think all the devs are on the Discord. But you could theoretically ask a question and have a dev respond to it, you know, in 12 hours to a day or something. Sometimes they get missed. Sometimes you have to ask it multiple times. But there is a set channel on the Discord for you to ask those questions and try to get an answer. So if you have a question about a mechanic, Wargaming could look into it, try to give you some accurate information, or more information at least, onto how the mechanics work. They don't give every little piece of stuff away. They don't tell you about the credit modifiers for this ship versus that ship. They don't tell you about how base XP is calculated. They'll give you general information there. But like, if I have a problem, for instance, with how AA interacts with aircraft, I could ask, you know, hey, during an attack, what's, you know, is it supposed to be reducing damage from this or that or whatever, and expect at least a response. It might not be a full response, it might not be an accurate response, because sometimes there's a bit of a language flub, but I can expect a response, which I think is pretty cool. And also there's an ability to relay feedback, which I think is probably one of the weirdest parts of the program, in terms of me being somebody, I've only been in here probably 3/4 of a year, and I still consider it a little strange, because I don't know exactly what that's supposed to entail. Is it feedback on a test ship? Is it feedback from your community, how your community feels about this and that and other stuff? Is it feedback how you, an established content creator, a person that prominently and consistently plays the game, is supposed to be giving feedback? Like, is it your ability to have a special chance to tug on the ear of the developer to give, you know, what your opinion on the matter? Or is it just, this is the channel where you put game-related feedback in? I don't know, but I don't think that's been adequately answered, or if it has been, I don't know where that answer is, and I went looking for it. So I think that's something that I might have to ask that question, but anyway. So that's basically the CC program. What are the rules? And I don't have more slides, so I could either write them on the time or I could just draw it out. But realistically, what are the rules of the CC program? The biggest ones, well, really the only ones are, don't lie. Well, what does that mean? If you have access to behind the scenes special announcement content, this, that, whatever, and you blatantly lie for clicks or for attention or for whatever, that's bad. Because if they're putting you in a position of trust and you're just abusing that, that's not good. That's no bueno. Another rule is don't hurt the community. Now, this one's going to be a little awkward, at least to some people, I think. Don't hurt the community. What does that mean? Does it mean don't be angry about stuff? No, because being angry is being you, and effectively, when the community contributor program, when you enter that, they're entering into an agreement. Hey, we think you're pretty cool at what you do. We want to associate with you. We want to recommend you. We want to help you, whatever. If part of you means you hate submarines, or you hate CVs, or you hate cruisers, or you hate secondaries, well, that's part of the package. That's who you are. And if you dislike something, you are completely and totally encouraged to dislike it. What you are not encouraged to do is to try to steamroll the community against something in a way that's like actively bad. It's one thing to say, I hate CVs. It's another thing to say, I hate CVs and everybody in my community should go out and harass people until they stop playing CVs. There's a difference there. One is a person is expressing their opinion. The other is encouraging people to go out and screw with other players. That's a detriment to a community. So I think, I don't watch much Flamu, but I think one of the things that he used to do that I heard about, because I heard, when he left or whatever, when he left the program, people were saying that he did something called animal research, which if somebody particularly pissed him off, he'd look at their profile to show how terrible a player they are. And if you think about what does that do? Well, on the one hand, it's him venting and being angry. Okay, sure. He got mad at a player, he looked at a player, he mocked a player. But if you have 1,000 people that watch you, or 5,000 people that pay attention to you, or whatever, and they start mimicking the behavior, they start doing the same thing, start yelling at players that, don't have the win rate or whatever that you approve of, that's not good for the community. That's hurting it. That's causing people to be vitriolic and bad to each other. So that's no bueno. So that's one of the rules. Why did it take them so long to, be annoyed with Flamu? I don't know. I don't run the program. Don't much care. But that is one of the rules, and I think that was the rule that was kind of came into issue. At least that's my thoughts on it. That's my guess. Other rules, there's an NDA, so like test ships and behind the scenes conversations and stuff you can't talk about. Now, granted, I'm going to give an impression of what I feel, and I'm going to try to make sure that it does not cross the bounds of NDA, but there's an NDA. Respect it. Don't disclose. So yes, there's that. Respect the NDA. If you don't, that's probably no bueno. And a rule that probably sounds weird is it is okay to disagree with vocally with wargaming. It's okay to not like what they do. It's okay to not agree with what they do. It's okay to completely be anti-wargaming if you choose, as long as it's genuine. That falls under the don't lie, but they actively encourage you to quote-unquote be yourself. If you don't agree with something, absolutely, by all means, fucking don't agree with it. It's okay. Because part of the CC program is helping CCs to have access to tools to make better content. It's not buying them off to become wargaming shills. So, if CCs actively dislike wargaming because they actively do, well, that helps to dispel the notion that they're shills, although that's going to happen anyway. Speaking of which, since I'm speaking semi-positively about this, I'm probably coming off as a shill. So that's basically the community content creation, or the community contributor program in a nutshell. Like, legit, that's what it is. Some CCs have been asked on to Wargaming Broadcast to help out with the broadcast, talk about stuff. I was invited to the Verizon Warrior series to give a lesson on CVs, as well as kind of talk about gameplay and matches and stuff. Other CCs were invited on, like Bogsies and I think Seven. I can't think of all the names off the top of my head, but it's a resource. It's a tool that they can use to help promote you and help you continue to make content, which keeps the community engaged. Okay, so that basically concludes part 1. What is the CC program? And this gets into the more murky part 2. What is the situation? Little White Mouse left. She had a pretty angry letter when she left. So I would like to read that if I can. And then we'll kind of talk about it. Shouldn't be that hard to find because I think it's probably like trending just about everywhere in this game. And yep, there we go. So we can see it pretty much front and center over here, and we can look at this. So I'm gonna look at this message. I'm gonna read it, and then I'm gonna have a little talk, and then we're gonna kind of talk about the message. So I realize that might be a little jumbled per se, but I think that's probably gonna be the easiest way to just kind of go from point A to point B. So, all right. An update for y'all. So basically, Little White Mouse she put forward information about the Yukon, which I guess her and another friend, an ex-person that had done contract work with Wargaming, I think, Chobitsu, they had been approached by Wargaming to, hey, you know, we're trying to do something that's a little more national-oriented, so we'd like to do something for Canada Day. We'd like to make a ship. How about we kind of put this in your hands? Can you give us something that it's not so obnoxiously complex that we have to just like spend years designing it, but you know, it's something that we can put together in good faith and kind of make it fun and have like a Canadian ship thing. And Little White Mouse and Chobitsu went out of their way to basically design a fucking ship. And then that idea got altered and then changed, and then they redesigned the ship, and then maybe they redesigned it a third time and possibly a fucking fourth time. And they're not getting paid for this. This was something they did out of love for the game. And ultimately, the ship they made was not the ship that they were given, and Little White Mouse was really fucking upset with how it all went down. Not just the fact that, you know, we started here, but we ended here, and here sucked. But also with all the upset along the way, especially toward the end of it, when I think she was trying to wave giant red flag screaming, hey, this is a problem. Hey, pay attention to me. Holy shit, this is coming out in like a month. Holy shit, it's coming out in a week. Pay fucking attention to this. And the answer was there was just nothing there. And then it happened. And she wrote her response as to how fucking pissed off she was in Premium Ship Review Yukon, which is on the North American forums and I don't know, probably elsewhere. So you can read that if you want to see the whole thing as it evolved. But it has culminated in an update for you all. In the wee hours of August 12th, in one of the CC Discord channels in front of everyone, a Wargaming employee decided to contradict me, belittle me, and ignore evidence I was providing, all the while barking at me how show them respect. This is them communicating better. It is completely unacceptable were it just an isolated incident. It's made hilariously bad in that it all but repeats what happened to Chobi and I leading up to the Yukon incident, where a Wargaming employee contradicted us, belittled us, and ignored the evidence we were providing regarding our work on Yukon. It took them almost an hour to finally apologize and admit they were wrong in this case, but only after other CCs had to dogpile onto the situation. Wargaming has violated our agreement. It only took 6 weeks for Wargaming to go back on their word. I approached Sub-Octavian in an effort to repair matters. Given Wargaming's lack of updates on the West Virginia, another ship they promised, trusting them to complete Huron is foolish. That was the ship that they were going to make as basically to make up for the Yukon, but it's slated in like a year and a half because they're making a ship. I told him that Wargaming was demonstrated that they cannot be trusted to honor their word. I needed a commitment from him to deliver three things. It's just Sub-Octavian, which I don't know his position in the game, but I think he's like the lead director or something. 1, to work on repairing their corporate culture. 2, to provide regular updates on Huron's progress. 3, to add Sackville's camo to Yukon, which I think is the camo that Chobitsu and her maybe worked on. Maybe Chobi is designed it because I think he's a designer. But Sackville's camo represented 2 things for me. First, it's tangible proof that Wargaming takes the above issue seriously and is willing to deliver something on the short term beyond simple apologies or vague, unbacked promises on a future project they may or may not deliver in a year's time, meaning the Huron. Second, it honors the time and energy Chobitsu and I put into the Yukon project over 16 months. Sub-Octavian agreed to points 1 and 2, but not number 3. They do not respect the time and energy Chobi and I put into the project or presently in the game. They see it as their right to mistreat community contributors and players and expect empty promises and hollow apologies to smooth things over. They have demonstrated they will do this repeatedly. Enough is enough. Effective immediately, I am resigning from the community contributor program. So that was from Little White Mouse. It's posted in the CC Discord as well as I think on Reddit and here, and it's, you know, taken the world by storm, as it were. So I can't, well, I don't know all of the situation. I don't know about the red flag waving and who messages were sent to here to there months or weeks or whatever before this all happened. I can say that community contributors were also blindsided too. So while they were working behind the scenes to make this ship happen, to do this stuff, I didn't know about it, and I don't think anybody else knew about it because most people were genuinely fucking surprised. As in, like, real fucking surprised. As in, like, are you serious? Are you fucking with Little White Mouse? People got really pissed. Even wargaming people seemed to get really fucking pissed. So I don't know who had what hand and how deep and blah, blah, blah. It's not the information I have. If you follow the Premium Ship Review Yukon thread, you can go back and forth. There are a lot of different responses. There's Evan from North America. There's Sub Octavian. There's multiple back and forths from Little White Mouse as well as Chobitsu as to how it's moved forward and progressing. And ultimately, there was haggling and trying to figure out what is the solution, how is the solution. And one of the things that's particularly relevant to me is the fact that they had said that they might be able to make a ship in 2023, I think, so about 2 years from now. But they were looking to Little White Mouse and Chobi to kind of, or maybe Little White Mouse, I don't know who was picking, but for one of them to pick either like a carrier or a submarine, because they said that at that point in the game's development, they assumed they would need something around that at that time. So that would be more beneficial to them because that would be more toward the game plan. So, I mean, me as the CV guy, that means that carriers are here to stay or something, right? But she was not interested in that. And I think they ended up going to a destroyer, which was Destroyer Huron. So, like I said, that's the Little White Mouse thing. I'm going to kind of step back and talk about the CC Discord to give an understanding. So I talked about the perks of the CC thing. You can talk to Wargaming. You can ask questions. Sometimes you actually just, they hop into, you know, just a talking channel, because there's talking channels in every Discord where people are just having a chat and other folks chime in and, you know, people throw bullshit around. It's all fun. But for the most part, it's pretty much just CCs talking. There's not a lot of Wargaming interaction there. But questions are answered if you put the question. Again, you might take a day or a few. Feedback is put in, but it's not just like jumped all over. So what I want to kind of get across here is for people that go on the forum, like the public forum, the one that I just showed, and they voice, I dislike this, I dislike that, I really like this, ooh, this would be a great idea, suggestion. For the most part, you put it on the forum and it just kind of goes into the void. Now, I can tell you from personal experience in conversations with either Dev or a conversation with Hoppa, who used to work with Wargaming, that there are literal people whose job it is to coalesce all that information, bundle it up into a report, and ship it upstairs. Now, does that mean that it's, you know, page turning reading for every developer on the team? Oh, okay, the forum thinks, oh, okay, this person thinks that. Man, we should definitely jump on that. No, realistically, no. But if it's a constant thing, a constant drumbeat that's heard over and over and over again, it does make it upstairs. It does exist. How often do they act on it? I don't know. And in the forum, you see a lot of people that are upset. You'll see a lot of people that are, I've said this 1,000 times, it turned out it sucked, if only you'd listened to me, the game would have been better, etc. And I can tell you that community contributors are people too. There are people on the forum, there are people that are community contributors. And if a community contributor sees it, and they make videos about it to tell you, this is fucking stupid, it's gonna be terrible, it's gonna turn out terrible, 2 months later, hey look, it turned out terrible, I'm right. It's the same thing. People that put it on the forum, people that put it onto the community contributor thing, and people get frustrated. Average people get frustrated when their concerns aren't heard. Well, community contributors are going to be the same. They're going to get frustrated when their concerns aren't heard, and you're going to hear people that get really upset. And just like you'd imagine, there are CCs that are upset in real life in their videos and their content and the way they talk about the game and the way they're pissed off about this, that, or the other thing. They're upset on the server. And the reason why I think this is important is because if you go to, trying to think of like an adequate example, and God knows my examples are terrible, but if you go to a McDonald's or if you go to some business somewhere where there's a customer support desk, maybe McDonald's not a good example for that, but someplace where there's a customer support place and there's somebody behind the customer support desk and they get chewed out all day. They get chewed out because I bought this and it broke. What the hell's wrong with you? And like, you have to change it, you have to fix it, you have to refund me, you have to this, you have to that, you have to. The person that's behind that desk getting chewed out day after day after day after day. It doesn't take a leap of logic to say, man, that probably sucks dick. Man, that probably gets old. I mean, let's just be realistic here. They're people too. You know, I had somebody message me on Discord like, hey man, I'd love to have a chance to talk with you. Bro, I'm just a person. There's nothing that special about me. I'm just a dude that plays a game. It's easy for me to have a conversation with people. I have conversations all the time on the Discord. I'm just a person. Same thing with the dev. It's just some dude that goes into work and works 9 hours a day doing the thing that they do. It just happens that they make a game that a lot of people fucking love. So why do I say all this? Because we don't have a ton of interaction on the Discord. And I'm making a leap of logic here to say that when you go into a forum and you see constant amounts of imagine Wargaming giving a fuck about the game. Imagine Wargaming not fucking up every other day. Imagine Wargaming employing someone with a brain. When you see that on the forum every day, and forum people are just like CC people, are you really going to be surprised when you just don't have a lot of interaction in the first place? Are you? Does that make sense? So, to move it forward, if we go back to this post, which was this. In the hours, in one of the Discord channels in front of everyone, a Wargaming employee decided to contradict me, belittle me, ignore evidence I was providing, and while barking at me to show them respect, said, this is communicating better. But I want to focus on something, because I'm not going to go into the specifics of the conversation, but I'm going to be honest, it's a conversation like a million other conversations every day that happen. There was no crazy knives and fire and flamethrowers and stuff. It's just two people that were having a heated conversation because people have heated conversations. But the contradict me, belittle me, ignore evidence. But I want to point this out while barking at me to show them respect. So, again, if you've got somebody behind a customer service counter in an airport and you're angry that your luggage is lost, and you're being really angry with them because your luggage is lost, it's understandable, you're upset. But the person, somebody at an airport I think once said, the only person that cares about finding your bag right now is you and me, and you're yelling at me. So it's really, it's just, you have to look at the situation, and if you don't have two people having an easy freewheeling conversation, then it's very easy for communication to break down. And I know I've said this before, and I know I'll say it again, Wargaming are not native English speakers. There are people that just, they don't have that sense of subtlety, that sense of nuance. And if you say a word and it's the wrong word to somebody that's very upset, then they get more upset. Fuck. Okay, let me try to think of a different word to use. And if that word is incorrect either, then it just gets even worse. How do I know this? I have fucking Asperger's. I say wrong words all the damn time. As far as an outsider looking in, Do I think Little White Mouse had a reason to be absolutely fucking livid that she and a person that she's very close to spent 16 months on a project that didn't go anywhere in the direction that they wanted it to go and felt used and fucked over because of it? Do I think that's ass? Yes, that's complete bullshit. That's a totally legitimate concern, and that's fucking stupid. That's fucking not okay. Wargaming supposedly was going to make a Huron for her and other stuff, and I don't know how long it might happen. Will it happen? Shit, I don't know. Most people seem to have no faith in wargaming, so they assume that it just straight up won't. But I try to look at it from a more uninvolved perspective, which is, if you're going to make shit, it takes time. If you're going to make a perma camo, realistically, could you shit one out in an hour or a day? Probably. If you're going to make a perma camo that's going to exist in the game for years to come, do you want to have an artist spend a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks on it? Sure. Well, what if that artist is busy? Do you just drop everything to do that now? Right fucking now? This is super important. You do this right fucking now because now? Possibly. Depends on the severity and the importance of it. Like, I don't have a dog in this fight, but my biggest thing that I wanted to try to put out is, right now, if you've got two sides, one of which is just lol, and the other one is probably backed off because they're just fucking sick of it. This is, again, conjecture. How do you move forward from that without both sides taking a step back and going, fuck? In any relationship, you have to recommit. You know, it takes two people to make a relationship. You can't have one person that gives a shit carrying the weight for both people. So, you know, I put out, for what it's worth, I put out a call to say, hey, you might feel like this is a bridge that goes to nowhere, but it is a bridge that leads to actual people that actually hear what you say when you say it. So whether you like that or feel positive by that or whatever, please just take a step back and treat this as like the professional kind of understanding agreement thing that it is. And be respectful. If you're respectful and they're respectful and everybody can kind of have an even place to talk on, then suddenly it's not just this fucking burning torches, screaming at each other, waiting for the world to burn down stuff. Not to say that the majority of the thing is that, but this, what's going on, I believe resulted from, you know, a snowball rolling down a hill for God knows how long, and eventually the snowball is going to hit somebody and they're going to get hurt. And it looks like the snowball ran over somebody that really didn't deserve it, and it looks like there wasn't a way back, feasibly, after that snowball hit. And the only way to prevent another snowball from happening isn't just to say, you fucked this up, this is your fault, you fix it, because realistically it takes two people to tango. So, yeehaw. So that's kind of my thing. Part one was an explanation of what the hell the CC program is. Essentially it's an unpaid business opportunity. And then the second part was kind of to give more of a personal outsider, insider look, whatever going on. So it's not for me to go into all sorts of specific whatever, because one, I can't, I just don't fucking know. I'm just somebody on the outside. But I figured, I hope, that giving at least more information gives people an understanding of the landscape that the story unfolded upon. So yeah, hopefully this was helpful. This has been Ahskance. Have a good one.